I wake up at 9 on Thanksgiving morning to something wrong. Silence. The Kessler family house, our 5-bedroom monument to middle-class aspiration, is never silent on Thanksgiving. Mom should be downstairs already. The kitchen filled with the rich aroma of roasting turkey. Dad should be planted in front of the TV, volume cranked too high on the Macy's parade. Corbin and Sloane should be bickering over who gets the good bathroom first, but there's nothing, just the faint hum of the heating system.
Clicking on.
I sit up, run a hand through my tangled hair, and listen harder. No cabinets opening and closing, no water running, no footsteps on the stairs.
Hello.
My voice sounds strange in the stillness. When no one answers, a flicker of unease ripples through me. I grab my phone from the nightstand. No messages, no missed calls, nothing to explain the wrongness of this morning. I swing my legs over the side of the bed, suddenly wide awake. The hardwood floor feels cold against my bare feet as I pad. To the hallway. Mom, Dad, I call out louder this time. The doors to my siblings' rooms stand open. Beds empty and hastily made. Not slept in at all by the look of them. Downstairs, the kitchen is spotless. No turkey thawing on the counter. No ingredients lined up for stuffing or cranberry sauce. Just my coffee mug from last night sitting alone in the otherwise empty sink. I walk to the front window and pull back the curtain. The driveway is empty. All the cars are gone. My parents' sedan, Corbin's beat-up Jeep, even the 7-seater SUV I filled with gas yesterday for our planned drive to Uncle Dean's house. A ridiculous thought flashes through my mind. Maybe they ran out for cranberries or another last-minute ingredient. But the house doesn't feel like they just stepped out. It feels cold, abandoned. I grab my phone again, pull up my mother's contact. It's gone. My father's number gone, too. I scroll frantically through my contacts. Corbin, Sloane, even Rhett, all deleted. What the hell? I mutter, my heartbeat
quickening.
Then I remember last night Rhett borrowing my phone. Hey sis, can I check the score real quick? My phone's dead. 19 years old, and still can't remember to charge his phone. I'd handed it over without a second thought. Clever, but not clever enough. Rhett isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. He deleted the entries, but didn't block the numbers. I still have our call history, and I know most of their numbers by heart anyway, but Uncle Dean's I know for sure. I tap it in, and hit call, pacing the kitchen as it rings.
Hello.
His voice sounds relaxed, cheerful. Uncle Dean, it's Krista. Where is everyone? A pause.
Krista.
Oh, you're still home. Something in his voice makes my stomach drop. And then I hear it in the background. The rhythmic sound of waves crashing against a shore. Somewhere distant, the faint, unmistakable plucking of a ukulele. Where are you? I ask, though I already know the answer isn't his New England colonial with the massive dining room table we were supposed to gather around today. His voice drops. Well, your parents wanted a big surprise for their 30th anniversary. They all flew to Maui last night. I grip the counter, my knuckles turning white. All of them? They figured you were busy with work, he continues, sounding uncomfortable now. And well, they didn't want you to worry about the expense. The expense? The expense for the vacation they're taking with money I've been pouring into this house for years. Before I can respond, I hear a voice in the background.
Sloane.
God, are you talking to her? I thought the plan was to just let her stay home. Uncle Dean makes a shushing sound, but it's too late. I've heard enough. Krista, he starts. I end the call. The kitchen feels colder now, as I stand motionless. My phone clutched in my hand. This wasn't some last-minute prank. This was planned, orchestrated. They deleted my contacts. They snuck out in the night. They left me behind deliberately. My gaze drifts to the calendar on the fridge where I'd circled today's date and written Thanksgiving at Uncle Dean's in my neat handwriting. Next to it, the list of chores I'd completed to get ready. Clean guest bathroom, gas up SUV, pick up wine. This wasn't a prank. This was deliberate, malicious financial exclusion. They wanted a luxury vacation using the money I paid for the mortgage, and they didn't want me there. I wait for tears, for the crushing weight of betrayal to bring me to my knees. But it doesn't come. Instead, something strange happens. A crystalline clarity washes over me. Every moment of the last 6 years, every check I've written, every bill I've paid, every sacrifice I've made while my siblings took snaps into sudden perfect focus. I don't cry. I don't scream. I don't throw things. I just stand in the silent kitchen of a house that isn't really mine, feeling something final click into place inside me. I am done. The phone clicks dead in my hand. Uncle Dean's voice and Sloane's careless complaint fade into silence, but their echoes remain, ricocheting through my mind like stray bullets. I sink into a chair at the empty kitchen table. My coffee mug from last night still sitting in the sink. The only evidence anyone lives here at all. The house feels cavernous now, each empty room mocking me with its silence. 6 years. The number materializes in my mind with perfect clarity. 6 years of being the invisible pillar. 6 years of watching my paycheck disappear into this 5-bedroom monument to middle class pretension, all while being told I was the responsible one. I was 20 when I moved back home after community college. Mark's dad had just been demoted. The mortgage payments were temporarily difficult. Mom had explained, eyes wide with practiced worry, just until they got back on their feet. 6 years later, and Dad's job still barely covers the car insurance and his hobbies, his fishing trips, his golf clubs, his collection of vintage model cars that sit untouched in glass cases in the basement. The total mortgage, $2,800 a month. My contribution, $2,000. Their contribution, $800. The math burns in my mind, bright and undeniable. I pull out my phone, open the calculator app, and punch in the numbers with methodical precision. $2,000 x 72 months equals $144,000. $144,000 gone, not invested, not saved, not even appreciated. Meanwhile, Corbin, 28, and supposedly the entrepreneur of the family, has lived here rent-free since his $50,000 startup crashed and burned 2 years ago. $50,000 that Mom and Dad had somehow found for him. Even as I was writing checks for new gutters and property taxes, and Sloane, 22, and attending Riverdale Private College, her $38,000 annual tuition and sorority dues paid, without question. Your sister needs to focus on her studies. Mom had explained when I'd asked why Sloane couldn't work part-time, like I had the responsible one-family code for the ATM. The numbness from the phone call begins to fade, replaced by something colder, quieter, not anger. Anger would be too hot, too messy. This is something else. Something final. I'm done. The word settles in my chest like a stone.
Done.
They left me. But they left me in the house I paid for, connected to the utilities I managed. They assumed I would just wait and keep paying for what? The privilege of being excluded. The honor of funding Maui vacations I wasn't invited to. I don't throw things. I don't scream. Those reactions would give them too much power, confirm their whispered assessments that I'm too emotional or can't take a joke. Instead, presentation. Not for my birthday. Any birthday in the last decade. You are here now because you want something from me, not because you care about me. That is a horrible thing to say. Veronica chimed in, finally pocketing her phone. Mom and Dad have done everything for us. Just because you are bitter and ungrateful does not mean you get to rewrite history. I am not rewriting anything, I said. I am finally seeing it clearly. You have used me as the convenient child, the one who does not need attention or validation, so you can focus all your energy on Veronica. And I let it happen. I kept hoping that if I was successful enough, accomplished enough, you would finally see me.
But you do not see me.
You see what I can give you. My father moved toward the door, his jaw set. You have 48 hours to reconsider this decision. If you choose not to share this property with your family, there will be consequences. Consequences? I followed him to the door. What are you going to do? Stop ignoring me even more. Then you already do. We could make things difficult for you professionally, he said, turning back to face me. I have connections in this city. I know people who work with designers. It would be unfortunate if your reputation suffered because of your selfishness. The threat was clear, and it sent a chill down my spine. But underneath the fear, I felt something else rising. Anger. Pure and clarifying. "Get out," I said quietly.
Get out of my apartment right now.
48 hours, my mother repeated as they filed out. "Think carefully about what matters more to you, a cabin or your family." I closed the door behind them and locked it. My hands were shaking. I walked to my couch and sat down, trying to process what had just happened. They had not come to apologize for missing my birthday. They had not come to reconcile or rebuild our fractured relationship. They had come to stake a claim on something that was mine, something I had worked for and earned without any help from them. The worst part was not even the demand itself. It was the casual entitlement behind it, the assumption that my accomplishments were somehow theirs to claim, that my hard work was just an extension of their investment in raising me. I pulled out my phone and opened a group chat with Brooke, Daniel, and Kiera. I typed out what had happened, my fingers flying across the screen. Their responses came quickly, a stream of outraged emojis and supportive messages. "They did not just threaten you," Brooke texted. "That is literally extortion. Do not give them anything," Daniel added. "That cabin is yours."
Kiera sent a
string of angry face emojis followed by, "Want me to make them a cake? A really terrible cake? I can make it look good, but taste like regret." Despite everything, I smiled. These people, my chosen family, had my back without question. They were not asking what they could get from me. They were asking what they could do for me. That night, I could not sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversation in my mind. My father's threat echoed in my thoughts. He had connections in
Portland.
He could damage my reputation if he wanted to. Several of my biggest clients had come through referrals from people in his business network. I thought about my cabin, my sanctuary, the place where I had finally felt peace on my birthday. The idea of sharing it with my family, of having them invade that space with their demands and disappointments, made my stomach turn. But the alternative was potentially watching my career crumble because my father decided to punish me for setting boundaries. By Tuesday morning, I had made a decision. I was not going to give them anything. Not 50%, not 10%, not even a key to the front door. If they wanted to destroy my professional reputation, they could try. But I was not going to let them take something I had earned. I called my lawyer, a sharp woman named Francine, who had helped me set up my LLC 3 years ago. I explained the situation, and she listened without interrupting. "They have no legal standing," she confirmed. "The property is in your name, purchased with your funds. They cannot force you to transfer ownership. As for the threats about your career, that is harassment. Document everything. Keep records of all communications with them." "What if he actually follows through?" I asked. "What if he starts calling my clients, spreading rumors?" "Then we pursue legal action," Francine said calmly. "But in my experience, bullies like this usually back down when they realize they are not going to get what they want easily. Stand your ground, Addison. Do not let them intimidate you." I spent the rest of Tuesday and all of Wednesday in a state of anxious anticipation, waiting for my phone to ring, waiting for the next confrontation. The 48-hour deadline my father had given me was approaching, and I had no intention of calling him to discuss any kind of transfer. Wednesday evening, I was working late on the restaurant renderings when my doorbell rang again. I checked the peephole and saw Veronica standing alone this time. I debated not answering, but curiosity got the better
Of me.
I opened the door, but did not invite her in. "What do you want?" I asked. Veronica looked different somehow. Her usual air of bored superiority seemed diminished. She held a coffee cup from a nearby cafe, and she looked tired. "Can I come in?" she asked. "Just for a minute. I promise I'm not here to fight." Against my better judgment, I stepped aside. She walked in and sat down on the edge of my couch, gripping her coffee cup like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. "Mom and Dad are furious," she said without preamble. "They really expected you to cave. And you're here to convince me to change my mind." I remained standing, keeping distance between us. "Actually, no," Veronica said, looking down at her cup. "I am here to tell you something I probably should have said years ago." She paused, seeming to gather her courage. I am sorry. I waited, not trusting this sudden shift. I have been thinking about what you said, she continued, about how they have always focused on me. You are right.
They have.
And I let it happen. I even encouraged it because it was easier than dealing with my own problems. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Because I overheard them talking last night. Veronica said, they're not just planning to make things difficult for you professionally. They're planning to challenge the property purchase itself. My stomach dropped. On what grounds? They're claiming you used family money for the down payment. Dad is saying he gave you a loan 3 years ago that you never repaid, and that money went toward your business, and then eventually toward the cabin purchase. That is a lie, I said, my voice rising. He never gave me a loan. I have never borrowed money from them. I know, Veronica said quietly, but Dad has been talking to his lawyer. He thinks he can muddy the waters enough to at least tie up the property in legal disputes for years. Make it too expensive and frustrating for you to fight. I felt the room tilt slightly. This was worse than professional sabotage. This was a direct attack on my ownership of the cabin, on the one thing I had bought to create peace in my life.
Why are you warning me? I asked.
Veronica looked up, and I saw something genuine in her expression for the first time in years. Because I am tired of being their puppet, and because what they are doing is wrong. I have 2 kids now, and I keep thinking about what kind of example I am setting for them. If they grow up watching me go along with this kind of that without actual documentation of this supposed loan, they have no case. The bad news is that they can still file the claim and force you to defend yourself, which costs time and money. What do? I asked. We get ahead of it, Francine said. I want you to gather every financial record you have. Bank statements, investment accounts, tax returns, everything that shows your income and savings for the past 6 years. We are going to build an ironclad case showing exactly where every dollar came from for that cabin purchase. I spent Thursday and Friday compiling documents. I printed bank statements showing my steady savings deposits. I pulled tax returns demonstrating my growing income as my business expanded. I gathered investment statements showing dividends and returns that had contributed to my down payment fund. As I worked, I found myself getting angrier, not just at my parents for their manipulative tactics, but at myself for being surprised. This was who they had always been. I had just been too desperate for their approval to see it clearly. Friday evening, Brooke called me. Daniel and I are coming over. Kiera is bringing food. You need a break from all this legal stuff. When they arrived, Kiera had bags filled with Vietnamese takeout from her favorite restaurant. Daniel brought a bottle of wine. Brooke carried a stack of comedies on DVD. We are not talking about your nightmare family tonight, Brooke announced. We are eating spring rolls, drinking wine, and watching ridiculous movies. For a few hours, I let myself forget about property disputes and legal threats. We laughed until our stomachs hurt watching terrible action movies. Kiera told stories about her most demanding wedding cake clients. Daniel showed us his latest design project for a music festival. Around midnight, after they had left, I sat alone in my living room, feeling the weight settle back onto my shoulders. My phone buzzed with an email from my father. Addison, this is your final opportunity to resolve this matter amicably. Transfer 50% ownership of the cabin to your mother and me by Monday at 5 p.m., or we will be forced to take legal action. This is not the outcome any of us want, but you are leaving us no choice. Your refusal to compromise shows a fundamental lack of family values. We are disappointed in you, Dad. I read the email 3 times, feeling my hands clench into fists. The manipulation was so obvious, so transparent. The deadline, the guilt trip, the implication that I was the problem, not them. I forwarded the email to Francine with a simple message. They are escalating. Her response came back within minutes. Good. Let them. Every communication like this strengthens our case, if they do file suit. Keep forwarding everything they send. Saturday morning, I drove up to the cabin alone. I needed to be there to remember why I was fighting this battle. The drive through the mountains calmed me, and when I arrived and saw the lake sparkling in the autumn sunlight, I felt my resolve harden. This place was mine. I had earned it, and I was not going to let anyone take it from me.
I spent the
Day walking the property, taking photographs of every corner, documenting everything. I measured the dock. I noted the condition of the cedar siding. I made lists of improvements I wanted to make in the spring. As I worked, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Addison, this is Trevor. Trevor Hoffman. I work with your father at the Import-Export Company. I recognized the name. Trevor was my father's business partner, the co-owner of the company. How did you get my number? I asked cautiously. Your father gave it to me, Trevor said. Listen, I know this is unusual, but I need to talk to you about something important. Can we meet somewhere neutral? Why would I meet with my father's business partner? I asked. Because what he is doing to you is wrong, Trevor said bluntly. And because I have information you need to hear. Please just give me 30 minutes. Something in his tone made me agree. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop halfway between the cabin and Portland. The next morning, I drove back to the city Saturday evening, my mind spinning with questions. Why would my father's business partner want to talk to me? What information could he possibly have? Sunday morning, I arrived at the coffee shop 15 minutes early. I ordered a latte and sat near the window, watching cars pass by on the highway. Trevor arrived exactly on time. He was in his mid-50s with graying hair and the kind of tired eyes that suggested he had not been sleeping well. He ordered black coffee and sat down. Across from me. Thank you for coming, he said. I know this is strange. What is this about? I asked directly. Trevor pulled out his phone and opened a folder of documents. Your father has been embezzling from our company. He has been doing it for about 2 years, maybe longer. I only discovered it 3 months ago. I stared at him, not sure I had heard correctly. What? He has been creating false invoices, routing payments to dummy accounts, skimming profits, Trevor explained. I have been investigating, quietly building a case. The total so far is over $800,000. My coffee suddenly tasted bitter. Why are you telling me this? Because when I confronted him 2 weeks ago, he promised he would pay it back. He said he had assets he could liquidate. Then I heard through mutual friends that he was pressuring you about some property you bought. Trevor looked at me steadily. I think he wants that cabin so he can sell it and use the proceeds to cover what he stole. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. The sudden interest in my property, the aggressive demands for 50% ownership, the threats and manipulation. It was not about family at all. It was about my father's desperation to cover his crimes. Does my mother know? I asked. I do not know, Trevor admitted. But I suspect she knows something is wrong. Your father has been stressed, short-tempered. He keeps talking about a major financial opportunity that is going to solve all his problems. The cabin, I said quietly. Your cabin, Trevor corrected, which is why I am here. I am filing a lawsuit against your father and the company next week to recover the stolen funds. I wanted you to know before it becomes public, and I wanted to warn you that he is going to get more desperate as the walls close in. What should I do? I asked. Protect yourself, Trevor said. Do not sign anything he sends you. Do not transfer any property. And maybe consider getting a restraining order if he continues to threaten you. After Trevor left, I sat in the coffee shop for another hour trying to process everything. My father was a criminal. He had stolen from his own business partner and was now trying to steal from me to cover it up. I thought about my mother living in that expensive house, wearing designer clothes, completely unaware that her lifestyle was built on theft. Or maybe she did know. Maybe she was complicit. I honestly could not tell anymore. I drove home and called an emergency meeting with Brooke, Daniel, and Kiera. When they arrived, I told them everything Trevor had revealed. Holy hell, Daniel said. Your dad is not just a jerk. He is an actual criminal. What are you going to do? Kiera asked. I am going to fight. I said, I am going to protect my property, and I am going to make sure he faces consequences for what he has done. Monday morning came too quickly. I woke up knowing that 5 p.m. was my father's deadline. I had already decided I